Guys, I'll be screen sharing the questions. Start doing them. We'll be discussing. Okay. Okay, what do you call? Just give me a few minutes. Was in academy doing a small meeting, guys. I'll just keep the questions again shared. Within 5 minutes, I'll start. 5 to 10 minutes, I'll start to discuss. Okay, sorry on the delay. Zoha, I'll be starting the spreadsheet lesson in grade Villavatta this week. Yeah, walaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. Umar, I'll just reshare the question. Give me a moment. Okay, just now I reached home. Give it 2 to 5 minutes. We'll be starting.
Hi guys, sorry on the delay in starting. I was in the academy all this time. It was a small meeting and that got delayed. So yeah, let's start. Some of you must have sent me a message earlier. I wouldn't have been able to reply a message properly because I was screen sharing the questions on the phone. Just now I reached home. So if there's any of your questions I did not answer, please send in the chat again. Let me share the questions. Mm, the replay paper class. That means you're talking about this class. This class is from 5 to 6:30. For a small delay today, but yeah, I have something to say. Oh, is it? Yes, Shiraz, I'll be, first of all, what do you call it? Good luck on your journey, all the best on your journey. And yes, we can update. Actually, that is what I do, man. Walaikum Salam. How do you keep the screen on till you reach home? Basically, I was on the bike, so the phone was on the bike in the front itself there. Master in online, which is when it is going in grade 10. Grade 10, we'll be starting spreadsheet tomorrow. How do you feel now? It's very bad. Actually, a while ago, so I was caught in like here for 10 p.m. No, the lane after that. Below. Okay, let's start. The previous class recording was not sure. You mean the paper class recording? I'm not sure about that. I'll check. Just kind of dropping WhatsApp message now, reminding it. I'll check after class. Okay. Yes, Bilal. You. I'm sorry. Yes, Zuha. Yes. Zuha. Zuha. Exactly. Good luck. Is it your face or any other filters? My face, what to do? I shaved it twice. Then it comes up. Come, Bilal. What if your Karagara block your voice? I don't mind the Karagara blocking my voice. At least I can peacefully stay for some time. The thing is, it's like, imagine you have a wound in your hand. Okay, if you have a wound in your hand, sometimes when small, like dust fall on it, or let's say a bit of sparkles of water fall on it, you feel that, like, irritation, right? Same thing. So when there's like small dust or small stuffs touching that part in the throat, I get cough. That's why you might notice I might cough a bit more. So if I'm coughing a bit more, that means there's something irritating here. Anyways, it'll after all is done, that will be sorted. It's not sorted. Okay, let's start. So basically, there are some stuffs which I want to update you. Majority of you are asking me regarding this one. What do you call? Some of you are coming from my theory class. The theory class students, you all know already the update regarding the what do you call recap class. Actually, unofficially, I started the recap class. I did not actually publish the recap class properly yet. Main reason is because of the poster. That's the actual reason. But apart from that, another reason is, I had to cancel the classes because of that throat issue and all those stuff. So I wasn't able to publish it properly. But yeah, so we actually did this papers part two part we already discussed. Anyways, coming back to the point, we have actually started something called Recap Plus, where we are discussing apart from the what do you call, we are basically discussing certain stuff to make your powerful for your levels. Simply saying that what we are doing is very complex. Just join the class and you will know what's happening. Okay. So like per week, including this paper class, per week you will be learning 4 times if you come there. It's like 1 week in 1 month. Sorry, 1 month in 1 week. Anyways, regarding that, there'll be a poster coming out soon. So those are not don't have any updates about the recap class. Just have an eye on the master ID WhatsApp channel. Yes, Alia. Okay, so just have an eye on the master WhatsApp channel and you'll get the update there. Actually, we have already started doing this earlier, some of them. Okay, let's start. Master as for the physical class. Free for the theory class students, Anna. I'll be updating the recap class regarding stuffs on the master ID WhatsApp channel. So if there's any one of you all who is not in the master ID WhatsApp channel, okay, make I'll share the link in the middle of the class. I'll just share the link. You can just join the channel. Are you doing a final seminar? Ah, yeah. Regarding the seminar, do you all want to say? Wait, have I on the public chat? Is the public chat on? Yeah, just send me the messages here for now. I'll be asking about yes or no questions, so then answer there. Okay. I'm thinking, should I do a seminar for programming lesson? Yes or no? Should I do? I'm still having mixed opinion. Okay. Second, if I'm doing it, would you prefer joining online or physical? Obviously, if I'm doing physical, then I might have an extra online session as well. I will not do only physical. But if I'm doing online, then I'll be doing sometimes only online as well. I'm still having mixed opinion. Online, definitely I might do. Is the Pascal part included? Everything that's needed for your O levels will be included. Okay, let's see. So it will be relevant. Again, I'm telling you, it will not be such that you will be getting everything relevant for the lesson. Okay, if you have video conduct, if you're doing it physically. I don't know how many students will come. Okay. So my initial plan was let's do it in the Vellavath Academy itself. But Vellavath Academy has a count limit. It can accommodate only 120. So there are two options. I might either do it Vellavath or else I might do it Achievers. I can still talk with Achievers. I'll be talking with Achievers and I might do it there. That's Bumblebee. Okay. If I'm doing on my mostly, as per now, my plan is to do on December 4th. December 4th is actually a Poya day, if I'm not wrong. I might do it. Now, the thing is, if I'm doing physically and online, I have to do physical another day, online another day. So, physical, most probably I might do December 4th because that's a Poya day and it's not easy to do. So, online, I might do it probably on the respective Sunday, front or behind. I might, like, for example, if I do 4th, if I do it physically, then online, I might do it. Do you all have school in December? No, I can do it in the beginning. When is the exam? Can be physical. Then when is the exam? 8th. Okay, then before your school exam, I'll definitely have to do a. Is 8th the exam starting or is 8th ICT? When is ICT? Is ICT your first subject, first basket or second basket? Second basket, right? So third basket. Third basket. I think third basket is somewhere in the latter part of your 9th of December ICT. Yeah, third basket last. As I can remember, third basket was the last exam. Not physically, Amna. Let's see. For me, ICT exams on 26 November. Sure. Interesting. 26th November, okay, next week. Whoa. What school? Last year? I was finished months ago. That is because you all are, what do you call, matching it this for September, Aditi. You all start your term in September, obviously, or the past. Ask you, what's the school you're referring to? 9th of November. That's Ivaraini. Springfield. I can do on 25th if you all want. Sabina. Because that's the earliest, right? If I do on 25th, it will cover all of you all. Okay. No, no, no. I'm talking about the third term seminar. This is different. This is third term different. 25th, I can do a third term seminar. Yeah, 25th November. This is not programming. This is targeting a third term online. Yes, only online. I'll do targeting a third term exam. Okay. Then what will happen is for the people who have the exam on next week, some of your exams starting on 8th, 9th. When is a provincial exam all of them? 9th, and 8th it's starting now. So probably that 8th, 9th that week now. What do you call? Yeah. So then all of you will get covered. Thing is, for yeah. Anyways, earliest you all have is first. No, none of you will have before 25th. No. Wow, that's as after that they can't have an exam at that time. That time, what do you February you might have your response. Yeah, okay, which is next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday. 21st. Sure, that means this week you're having exam? ICT? That man. 21st is too early. I can't do pata pata kill. I can't do. If you want on 24th, okay, we have 25th no. Right. On 24th, I can do. I can't do this week. This week is too early to do what you call target as a third term seminar. I mean, I have to publish it, man. So this is impossible. Fifth is too late this weekend. The problem is some people having the exam that on this one. So what I'll do is I'll do on 24th, which is actually a Monday. Okay. Uh, Monday, as I know, you all have in terms of classes from night class. Do you all have any classes clashing like 7:30, 7 o'clock from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'll go after 10:30. I till 10 p.m., but I might go to 10:30, or I might start at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Rehearsals class. Exam is tomorrow. Just cut the class and get the recording. Okay. Or you get this class recording. I'll begin the recording as well. Okay. So will you go till 12? You did that earlier also. I would like to go till 12. I can't. This is my tentative time. Practical, I tell you, I can't finish this. I don't know how do people finish seminars in 1 or 2 hours, man. Seriously. Covering a third term seminar in 2 hours is impossible. Okay. It's a Monday, 24th November, from around 6:30 p.m. 10. I'll try as maximum possible to be on time. But you all very well know about me. I will try to give you all the maximum possible. So I will try to control the content and make sure what you called I do it like. Is there anyone here who is from Western Bear in the class currently? Anyone? You all don't have to join because I'll be whatever I'm doing here. The same thing I'll come to your school and do it physically. I'll be coming to your school and doing the same. Whatever I'll be discussing, I'll be coming to your school and doing physically. I think on uh did Shahansa say the date? I can't remember the exact date. I think it's 1st of December. I'll be coming there on 1st of December. So you all don't have to join this section. Yeah, no. Okay. So wisdom where people you all don't have to join actually because I'll be coming down 1st of December and I'll be doing the same thing physically there. Online I'll be doing it for everyone who can join on Monday. Okay, anyways, let's start. Islam's class on Monday, it's finished at 6:30. I finished at 6:30. The Kolonava class, no? Polanari Hakarani, paper class. I'll start at 7:30. What time do you all reach home? 7 to 7:30. What time do you all prefer? The more later I start, the more later I'll finish. That's the thing, okay? Okay, I'll start at 7:30. You all can come peacefully home. But again, I'm telling you, 7:30 start because minimum 10:30, 11, you know. Enjoy. Anyways, let's start. So there are two. So there are technically before your final seminar, I'm going to do two seminars. Seminar number one, targeting a third term exam, which will happen inshallah on 24th of November. That is next week. Okay, next Monday, it's going to happen. That's a why is my laptop stuck? Okay, that's the seminar number one. Seminar number two, it's on 4th of yeah, I'll be posting this stuff to the channel as well. It is my WhatsApp load. I can share the channel link. Just let me. Why is my laptop stuck? Okay, it makes sense. I have thousands of applications running. Actually, WhatsApp makes the laptop more stuck that I notice in recent time. Give me a moment. I'll just update your properly. There must be anything running in the background. Thousands of applications. Thousands. It's if you look at my laptop, you'll cry. How about the final seminar? That will inshallah happen in January. Last week of January. That has time. That is Lance will update you. Don't worry. WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp is stupid. What is it? We'll do a programming session. Yeah. Regarding the programming session, my only problem is this. If it's a physical seminar, I will damage my mouth. Damage my throat by shouting. So in that case, what will happen is it's an unwanted risk I'm taking. But I wanted to do physical seminar because I have not done a physical seminar since almost a year. Okay. So apart from the final seminar, last year I used to do for number conversion. I did pro logic gates. I did. I don't think for y'all I did anything. Okay. Yeah, I can use a mic, but still, y'all know how it's. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not guaranteeing. My plan is, anyways, to do a seminar on 4th, uh, physically on 4th, and online I might do on that respective week. Let's see. If I'm doing physically, then definitely there will be an alternative online as well. There'll be two sessions, like one day physical, one day online. But if I'm thinking like doing only online, then that could also be a possibility. Let's see. I'll decide and let you know. Hybrid never. Give me a moment. My laptop is stuck at the moment. I'll start discussing the question. I'm just waiting for the lap loads. There are some multiple applications running in the background. I'm just closing one by one. Mm, Physically, when are you going to do? Fourth. I'll update you later. Is my laptop stuck so much? Okay, let's start. Okay, let's start. Consider the following statements related to data and information. It's live, right? Is it live on YouTube? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, perfect. The number, words, images, and symbols which do not bear meaning when standing alone are called data. By arranging and processing data, meaningful information can be obtained, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're asking which of the statements are correct. Let's go through each and every statement and see are they correct or wrong. So, all these are regarding data and information, which is basically your grade 10's lesson number one. Okay, the first one. The numbers, words, images, symbols which do not bear meaning when standing alone are called data. Is that statement correct? Simply, basically, these are different types of facts. So them standing alone, correct. That is actually a correct statement. Okay. By arranging and processing data, meaningful information can be obtained. Is that statement correct? If you process data, if data gets processed, it will form information. That's what they're saying. Is that correct? Data, process, information. That's also correct. Perfect. Information helps in decision making. Can we make decisions using information? Actually, yes, you can. Directing the data to be processed is called input. Directing the data to be processed is called input, and receiving the process information is called output. Okay. So technically, what they're meaning by that is something like this. They are saying directing the data to process. That means you're giving the data to the process that is called input, it seems. Okay. Directing the data to process is called input, and receiving the process information is called output. The process, after it's processed, you're going to get something now. Getting that, is called output, it seems. This is what the last statement is called. So is this diagram actually correct? Input once it gets processed and then gives you an output. Yes, that's also correct. So here answer is all four correct. So answer is what you called A, B, C, D. Or if you have any questions, drop in the chat. If any of this statement did not make sense, then let me know in the chat which statement you did not understand or did not make sense for you. I'll elaborate you. If you got it correct, just mark it correct. Put one mark there. I'll get your marks at the end. Okay. Question number two. Umar, can you send that? Just check it. A. A is talking about when these numbers, image, words, they are standing alone, they don't have meaning. Like for example, if I come and write something here, for example, let's say I came and wrote here value. Does this make sense? Do you know what is the meaning of the value I wrote here? Thank you, Umar. No, you all don't know. If I come and write something like this, if I ask her, do you all know the meaning of this? Do you know the meaning of this? It's a triangle, okay, but why did I draw it? What is it representing? Any idea? No. Okay. Or if I come and let's say if I come and uh, draw this, not this, let's say I draw a symbol like let's say Okay, let's say this symbol. Okay, you all know it's dollar symbol, but do you all know why did I draw this? Like, can you all see any connection between these three things? No. So when these are like data, this is one data, this is a shape, this is another data, it's a symbol, and the another name, it's number. When these data are there alone, it doesn't make sense. There is no meaning. That's what the statement is saying. But without doing like that, if I come and tell it to you like this, if I come and tell you, what do you call? There was a what do you call a shop called triangle.lk. Okay. And this was the logo of that shop called triangle.lk. And in that shop called triangle.lk, they have offer going on. If you buy what do you call clothes for 1993 rupees, then you will get a what do you call $5 voucher for free. Now, if I tell you this as a whole information, now like if I tell you like a story, now this 1993 five triangle, does it make sense? If I tell you the whole story, I'll just tell again. Okay. So the point is basically these numbers, symbols, or images and all those stuffs, when they are alone, they don't have a meaning, right? When they are just standing randomly alone in one places, they doesn't have a meaning. But when you put all of them together and process them, they do have a meaning, right? So simply, when these number 1993 $5 or let's say triangle, when I just drew them randomly, you were like confused. What does it mean? But once I told a story, okay, there is a shop which has this which is called triangle.lk, and this is the logo of the shop. So this is the shop's name is let's say triangle.lk, right? And in that shop, if you go and buy stuff for thousand for buy anything that's more than 1993 rupees, they're going to give you a $5 voucher or something. Killer. Now it makes sense. So that's what we say when you process the data, you can form information. Exactly, you can make different stories. Or if I can say there is a shop, no, Atif was saying there is a shop called Triangle.lk. They started in 1993 with a $5 investment. Makes sense. So that's a very small story. Okay. But that again, see, it can make sense. So when data is alone, they don't make sense. But when you put data together and process it, it'll make sense. So information makes sense. Data doesn't make sense. Simple. Okay, perfect. Next. Which of the following is incorrect regarding the function of a computer system? Okay, some of you wanted the channel link, right? So, no, but that's just made up. That's not a real shop. I just imaginary shop. What do you call? Anyways, what do you call? Some of you wanted the channel link. So I'll share the link in the chat. Um, just join the channel and stay. The WhatsApp channel. I'll be posting the details regarding both the seminars there. Okay. Which of the following is incorrect regarding the function? Regarding the function, incorrect statement regarding functions of a computer system. Let's check the answers. Huh? Data and instructions fed to the computer via an input device. So, for example, if you have a computer and if you want to give any data to this computer, then you have to give this data through a specific device. And they are saying these devices are called the input device. Is that statement correct? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. If you're going to give data for the computer, give it through the input device. If you want to get some data from the computer, you can look at that data or you can obtain that data through a device called the output device. So output is to get and input is to give. So that statement is correct. Okay. The processed data are brought by the secondary memory and sent to the output device. The processed data are brought by the secondary memory and sent to the output. You can do that. Okay, you can bring the process data, what do you call from the secondary memory, not by the secondary. You can bring the data from the secondary memory. I'll keep that statement on hold and let's check the 3 and 4th, and then I'll come to that. The third statement: the data or information which is to be stored are sent to secondary memory through the primary memory. Okay. Now, for example, let's say you have a data that has to be stored, right? For example, you all can see I'm scribbling on this PDF, right? Do you all noticed? I mean, have you all ever noticed that once in a while I might go and click on this icon here? Why do I go and click on this icon here, which I marked in red color? Exactly. Once in a while I might go and click on this icon here so that I can save the PDF. But when I go and click on it, what will happen is then I'll save the PDF. Okay. Now, before I save this PDF, at the moment I'm writing some data as well here. See, I'm doing some scribblings. Okay. So whatever I'm doing, the scribblings I'm doing, tell me, are those scribblings temporarily stored anywhere? What do you think? Before I go and save, when I go and click on save, it'll get saved permanently. Whatever I scribble will get saved permanently. But before it gets saved permanently, okay, yes, I can do Control S as well, but you have to click on this. I have multiple windows open. It'll get messed up. Anyways, what do you called? Before I save this permanently from this icon here, if you're asking me, are these data stored? Yes, they are actually stored. So in your computer, what happens is, I have explained this in the class. I'll again explain this concept. It's a very interesting concept. Okay. Imagine you have some of you might be able to predict what is the example I'm going to give. Okay. Let's say in your house, you want to store food. Now, for a long term, if you want to store food, like permanently for a long term, if you want to store food, where do your mother go and keep the food inside? Correct. Exactly. You will go to the fridge, and in the fridge, you will keep the food. You'll store the food for like a time. If you want to store for a long term period, you might store it in the fridge. Okay. Now, let's say you're going to eat the food, right? Maybe sometimes. Now, when you're going to eat the food, do you take your mouth and put your mouth inside the fridge directly and eat like? Yes, Shahim, yes. Are go, man. You are going to put your mouth directly. You are not going to use the hand, nothing directly. Are you will have the full satin, I mean, the full pot and pan in the fridge. You're going to directly put. No, never. Okay. That's the indisciplined work. You can do it, not that you can't do, but it's not nice. Okay. Exactly. It'll be like animal. So what you might do, whatever the food that is there in the fridge, you might go and serve it. Okay, you might go and serve it onto a plate. While you're eating, it will be there in the plate. Now, while you're eating, again, you are not the the food is going at the end of the day, the food is going to go inside your stomach. Okay. But from the plate, does your food have any teleporting system to automatically enter to your stomach? Eating. Okay, let's say we're going to eat a dessert. Imagine you're going to eat a dessert. Okay. Does your food have a teleporting system to go from the plate, or let's say there's sauce up to your stomach directly? No. Now, inside your stomach hole, you have this digestion happening. That's where your processing is going to happen. Okay. So technically, to go there, to basically that your stomach is where the food is going to get consumed. Okay. So for before the food to get consumed, you're going to consume it through your. Some people eat it with the pot or pan. Again, if they're going to eat it the pot or pan, they take it out of the fridge. I mean, they're not going to go inside the fridge and eat. I mean, so I'm taking you to go. You take it somewhere. The food has to be taken out, or temporarily you have to store the food somewhere. Okay. So you might eat it using your mouth. Now let me what do you call connect the story. Okay. But before that, there are some other characters I have to mention. Normally, to take the food from the fridge to the plate. Okay. Imagine you're eating a dessert. Huh? So to serve from the fridge to the plate, you have two options. You can use a hand or you can use a spoon. So let's say you're a disciplined fellow, so you're going to use a spoon. So using your spoon, you're going to take the food from the fridge and keep it to your plate. And using the spoon, you're going to take the food from your plate and put it to your mouth. That's the whole process how you're going to eat. Okay. Now in this, the food is permanently stored in the fridge. Similarly, tell me in the computer, in what type of memory do we permanently store data in the computer? Yes, in your computer, we have two types of memory. One is primary memory, one is secondary memory. Okay. So if you take memory in your computer, we can classify memory into two main things. Okay. One is the primary memory and one is the secondary memory. So under primary memory, we have examples as what do you call cache memory, RAM, and ROM. But mainly when you're referring to primary, we are talking about the RAM. Okay. These are main fellow when you're talking about main memory. Under secondary memory, you'll get the hard disk and all those stuffs. Okay. Yes, cache memory is temporary. Correct. Now, what happens is the fridge is like your secondary memory. It's like your hard disk or memory card or pen drive. It can store data permanently. Okay, it can like just like you're storing food permanently. Okay, the fridge will act like a secondary memory. But while you're consuming that food, you're temporarily store it somewhere. So you're using a plate. So plate will act like your RAM, or to be more precise, like your primary memory. So when they're referring to, sometimes they might refer this to RAM directly. Sometimes they might refer as to a primary memory or main memory. So even though under primary or main memory, we have three different examples. In general, when are referring to primary memory, mostly they refer to the RAM. But again, keep in mind, if they ask you give some examples for primary memory, then all three can come. But in general, if they're referring to primary memory, mostly they are referring to the RAM. Okay. Anyways, so a plate will act like RAM. It will temporarily store the data what has to be used. Okay. So whenever you're going to consume it, whenever you're consuming it, it will be served from the RAM. From the RAM is where the data is going to get served. Okay. And if you're asking me who the mouth is, your mouth is your register memory. Where is the register memory available? Inside which part of your computer do you find this register memory? Register doesn't come under primary, register doesn't come under secondary, register comes somewhere else. Under where do you find the register memory? Perfect. It's a part of your CPU. I told you your body is only going to process the data. So in your body, is going to process the food. Out of that, CPU is where the mouth is where food is like temporarily going to get stored in. Then only it's going to get what you call sent to your stomach. Your stomach is going to be like the ALU. Okay, actually speaking, your stomach is the ALU. Your mouth is the CPU, and there's a CU as well. You all know where the CU will send it to. Okay. Once the food is completely digested, you all know the control in it. It will ask you, hey, go there and release set. I hope you all know what I'm meaning. Sometimes if you all go to and eat the shop food all, control it will give the data output very, very quickly. It'll be like, go, run and go. Okay. It is also. Correct. See, I'm connecting the human digestive system to storage device. Anyways, what do you call? The point is, these are things. So if you notice this question they're saying here, the data or information it is stored are sent to secondary memory through the primary memory. So normally, whenever you're going to, exactly, normally in your computer also, whenever data has to be stored permanently, now for example, of home as well, whenever the food has to be stored in the fridge, your mom will not go and put the food directly into the fridge, no. Before she puts in the fridge, she might store it into a pot or pan or plate or something. It will be kept on something outside, and that something will be kept inside the fridge. Okay. So it can be vice versa as well. When you're taking as well, you'll not take everything at once. You might take little. Okay. But the point is basically, before you store data permanently, it will be stored temporarily for some time. And that temporary storage will mostly happen in RAM. So for example, at the moment, I'm writing on this PDF, right? Whatever I'm writing on this PDF is at the moment temporarily stored inside which part of my computer? Correct. In my primary memory, or else to be more precise, in the RAM. Actually, it's there in the RAM. Okay. In my RAM only it's stored. Right. And what do you call once I go and click on save, what will happen is this PDF will get saved on my computer's hard disk. Example, let's say it's going to get saved on my computer's hard disk. So in that case, what's going to happen is after I click on save, this data is going to be saved in the secondary memory. Is that what clear all of you? While I'm consuming the product, while I'm using the product, it will be in the RAM. But while I'm permanently saving, it will be there in the secondary memory. Is that portion clear? Now you can see in this story, I told you who is fridge, I told you who is plate, I told you who is mouth. I didn't still tell you who is spoon. Who is spoon character? What memory is that? Any idea? Correct. Your spoon is only the cache memory. Cache memory has multiple jobs. One of that job is this. It has multiple jobs, but one of that job is this. Okay. Like the main part of cache memory is storing the data that's frequently used. That's a different thing. But apart from that, another part of cache memory is this. So cache memory has multiple works. These are the main work of cache memory, but this is one of the works of cache memory. Okay. Actually, the register memory is nothing big in this portion. The main, my explanation, I just use register memory here to explain a broad concept. As long as you understand this portion, that data is permanently stored in your secondary memory, but while you're consuming, you don't consume it from the secondary memory directly. Okay, like you don't when you're eating the food, you don't go or you don't keep the fridge open and you don't eat from the fridge directly. The point is when you're consuming the data, always the data will be served from the what do you call the primary memory. That register memory part is talking about when the data is being processed. So whenever the data is being processed, it's going to be processed by the register memory. But that's something extra. Okay. That was not the main part of that question. As long as you understand that data is permanently stored in the secondary memory, and while consuming it, it's stored in the primary memory. You're good to go. Mikram, I'll send after class. Actually, I have sent it earlier, recent. That is because for that case, param okay, perfect. So the third statement, the data information which has to be stored in second memory are sent to the second memory through the primary memory. Yes, that statement is also correct. The control unit sends the control signals to all the devices attached to the computer system. Is that correct? Again, control unit is a part of the CPU. It can send signal to all the parts, any device. Is it correct? Actually, yes. If you're wondering what is this question talking about, okay, this question is talking about a diagram that's there in your grade 10 textbook. Let me show it to you. History, inshallah, from January. Okay. In your textbook, you might have seen a diagram like this, something called input device. Whatever the data that comes to the input device, it will first of all be sent to the main memory. So whenever you go and click on some keys on the keyboard, whatever you clicked on the keyboard, first of all, it will come for the main memory. And then it will be showing in your screen. So let's say your screen is going to be the output device. Now there are situations where you have to save data. Okay. So whenever you have to save the data, then permanently, it will send that data for the secondary memory. And there are situations where you want to let's say open a PDF that is already stored in secondary memory. So in that case, what will happen is you're going to get the data from the secondary memory. And I told you, whenever you're consuming a data, whenever your fridge is going to store the data permanently, but whenever you're eating the food, it will be taken to the plate, right? So whenever you want to show something on the screen, it will take from the secondary memory and only it will show, right? Give me a moment. Sorry. And then we have the processing part. Now, there are situations where before the data has to be stored, that's fine. Yeah. So there are situations where before the data has to be stored permanently or before the data has to be output. Okay. Yes, Anna. Okay. Before we output the data or store the data permanently. The secondary memory is where the data is stored permanently. Yeah. What's going to happen is we have to process it. To process it, this data is sent to the CPU. Okay. Now, CPU has how many parts? Correct. Your CPU has three sections. Okay. Imagine basically this whole thing is eating the food below. Now, when I told you about the eating food example, I talked about three people. I told you have your mouth, which is going to first of all take the food. Okay. Your mouth is not going to consume it. Your mouth is not going to do the processing part. It's just going to munch it, but The mouth is not going to process it. Okay, it's your whole digestive system. Actually, your stomach and there are most stuffs. Your digestive system is a part who is going to what do you call process the food. And after you process the food, no, your digestive system only will do both the processing food and sending the food as well. I can take the digestive system and excretory system. That would be more suitable actually. But I'll just take it as a stomach and your brains will. Because the early example I gave was regarding excretory system, only, not. But that doesn't happen in your what do you call exactly. That's not the reality. In reality, who is in charge of? Is any of you good in science? If you are good in science, tell me who is in charge of telling what to do with the food you eat. Like you consume a food, right? In the food you consume, you have this ones, not brain. Brain is not in charge of that. No, in your inside your what do you call body. Uh, after your digestive system, your digestive system is the answer. In the digestive system, which component I'm not sure is in charge to tell what to do with the this ones you do. For example, if you all eat food, okay, you all have this one, you all have fat, okay, and you all have what you call carbohydrates, you all have what you call oxygen, all those stuffs, okay. So some of those particles are sent to your blood. Some of the particles are sent to the excretory system. Some of the particles are sent inside the stomach. Some of the particles are sent somewhere else. So after your brain is being processed. I'm not sure who does that processing. I'm not sure who does that processing. Okay. I don't think. Let's ask Google actually. I'm making this IT class, science class. Sorry on that. Yeah. Who does this? Oh, okay, it's the liver actually. The rest of body cells, the entire regulated by the nervous system and hormones. Absorption, transport to the liver. I think it's the liver, right? Exactly. We never give priorities for the liver. I mean, farm is fellow. Willy. No, Willy does other thing, man. Willy does the different. I know Willy. I can't remember the film called Willy. That one does the production. No, this is nutrient absorption. No, I'm not talking about that. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I'm not talking about that part, not absorption. I'm not talking about absorption. Man. I'm saying who decides where to send what. Which means now, for example, out of the food you all eat, do you all know how does this one happens? How does this belly fat all works? That concept. Okay. Wait, I'm gonna make the science plus. I'll shut up and wait here. Okay. If I keep my mouth open, I'll jabber more and go. Anyways, the part is let's say we have liver here, and we have here the I think stomach, right? Who does the processing? Who does the processing is done by there's several people, several organs are in charge. Yeah, several organs are in charge. Yes, yes, I did. Come back to the weight content. Anyways, the main point. I'll just take this as stomach, but again, there are many people in charge here. Okay. So how I'm going to connect this to the what do you call the plot is? Yeah. How I'm going to connect this to the plot is that now when you take this food, uh, what do you call when you take this food? See, when you take the data you're going to store, right? There is one part of temporarily storing your data. Okay. And after your data is temporarily stored, there is one part of break processing your data, like breaking your data into whatever you want. Like for example, when you're eating food, you might people might be scolding you all, right? What when you're not eating proteins, what when you're eating too much of carbs, what when you're eating what do you call not enough of what do you call let's say fiber. They might be scolding, right? So why are they scolding? Because what kind of food taking there should be processing done. Now, do you think the carbs you're eating, proteins you're eating, what do you call fiber you're eating, are all of these going to be stored at one place? Like practically all have done basic science, right? These are basic science, and then do you think everything are going to be stored at one place? Obviously, no. Okay, even oxygen, there is a part. So there are several chemicals involved, right? So all of this has to be distributed in different places. Different stuffs are going to be used in different places. So there has to be a person to distribute this, like a distributor. He'll be like, okay, you go here, you go here. The fat you go and stay there. The what do you call the oxygen go and stay there. The fiber you go and stay there. Okay, likewise, where what to go where actually there has to be one person directing. I'm not sure about these two few facts because I've completely forgot science because it has been several years since I touched it. So I just used Google and I just referring you all. But the thing is, there are three different people for that. Similarly, in your computer, because basically computers are devices built based on inspirations from environment, from anything you see in the computing world, all are based on real world inspirations. Huh? Keep that in your mind. So, for example, when you take the main memory as well, right? What happens is inside a CPU, there is something called as register memory. Okay, I know, Atif, but I'm just telling you all to make sense because sometimes when you go for the exam, you will forget about this. At the moment, you might be mixing both. But once you go for the exam, you will forget this and you'll remember that only. Like, wait, sir, said oxygen. No, where is oxygen in the computer? You remembering about where there is oxygen. So focus here. Anyways, so basically, a register memory will be storing that food temporarily. Okay. And but register doesn't have brains. Your mouth doesn't have the parts to break down the food. Okay. So then register memory will send this data for the ALU. ALU is going to do the thinking, processing, blah, 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 blah. He'll only make the decision. Okay, this. It will process the data. And after it processes the data, it will send it to the control unit. So control unit will decide whether to send this data for the register memory or whether to send this data for the what do you call the ALU will send for the register memory as well. It can send back like this as well. Okay. But the control unit has the power to decide where to send this data. If it wants, it can send this data back to the input device. I don't think it will send for the input device, but if it wants, it can send the data for the main memory. It can send the data for the secondary memory. So it can send this data anywhere and everywhere. Okay. Where is the cache memory? Why do we need the cache memory here? But if you really want to know where the cache memory will be there here in this process. Out of this. Because cache memory is a part of main memory, man. I told you, even though mostly we refer to the RAM, it's RAM and cache memory both working together. Even though when we're eating, we're mainly talking about the plate, we forget about the hand or the spoon. So without the hand or without the spoon, you're not going to put your mouth directly and eat it, right? So technically, these communications are mediated by the cache memory to the RAM. Something like that. Imagine cache memory as your hand and the RAM as your plate. So cache memory is going to take the food from the RAM and plating, give it to your hand, something like that. See, take on the plating, give it to your mouth. You're eating. So yeah, if you all can remember this diagram you all had in your what do you call grade 10 textbook. This is what is referred in that question. So where are we? We are talking about how data is. This is called the data flow in the computer. Okay. Without the cache, the data will not get processed, not get transported. In the textbook, it says CU can send the input device also. Yeah, it has mentioned that CU can send for the input device, but practically, I don't see what kind of data should go for the input because input device does not need any data. I can't. I'm still recalling. whether input device needs any data, unless the input device has an output feature as well. Okay, so practically that doesn't work. Anyways, coming back to the point, this is talking about the data flow in the computer. Okay, so in this question also they're referring to this diagram only. Now, if you look at the second part, should you memorize this chart? Yes, they can sometimes grade 10 exams, they give you all for this fill in the blanks as well. This is nothing big, man. Just know the point. It's, yeah, the Newman architecture. So the point is the processed data are brought by the secondary memory and sent to the output device. Okay. The processed data are brought by the secondary memory and sent to the output device. Is the processed data. Now, for example, tell me the processed data, we are getting the processed data from whom? There are two possible people we can get the processed data from. Look at this whole diagram and see. If you're going to get, as soon as the data is processed, as soon as the data is processed, after the data is processed, there are two possible people we can get this data from. Who and who? After the data is processed, we can get this data from two possible people. Once you're eating the food, once you're done eating the food, there are two possible places you can get the data from. Either you can vomit it from your mouth or you can excrete it from your back. Similarly, forget about that text and come here. No. Who is going to process your data here? Who is processing the data? Like, even though a CPU is processing, in the CPU, who is the main fellow who is processing the data? Who is doing the thinking? Yeah, this is the fellow actually who is processing. This is where the main processing happened. Okay, this is where the logical part, logic and like arithmetic and logical unit, this is where the thinking all are done. So once your data is actually processed into the CPU, you can get the data from this path or this path. Like from the C out of the CU, okay, you can get it out of the CU or out of the disk memory. Okay. But whatever it is, the question is talking about how is the data going to come to the output device. Now, output device, it can get from the control unit, but leaving the control unit aside, when the output device is getting the data, is the output data getting the process data from the secondary memory, or is output data getting the process data from the main memory, from primary memory? From whom is this output device getting the data, the process data? See, the process data is coming from here. It's coming top from here, right? When it's coming to the top from here, this process data is being sent to the output device from where? Correct. The process data goes to the output device from the main memory. So keep in mind, you can't send data from the secondary memory directly to the output device. Okay, you can't send data from the output device directly from the secondary memory. Always the main memory will be integrated. I can extend the class because I started late. Why avasara? So yeah, this answer is wrong. The correct word has to be here. Primary memory. So if the word primary memory is there, that is Maribno, not Asarno. I'll give time, don't worry. 6:45. Let's go to 6:45. Okay. So here the answer is going to be the second one. I discussed only two questions, maybe, but I gave her enough of day. I gave her so much knowledge. Oh yeah. It feels like I discussed 5 questions actually. Anyways, the answer there is second one. Huh? So if you all got the second one correct, mark it correct. If you have any questions, ask. Chat, okay? So keep in mind, this diagram is very important. Okay, they can twist and turn ask. I will keep my silence mode closed. Anyways, the column of the part one shows the description on the computer-based inventions label A to D. The right side part two gives the inventions. Okay, the world's first ever mathematical machine. Joseph Jacquard used this to make various patterns on clothes. Automatic sequence control calculator, also known as, this was used to punch card for the first time and was based on the concept of input versus output. Okay, not exactly. I'm just trying to connect stuffs because you can remember stuffs when you try to connect stuff. Yeah, Maharaj. Okay, first thing, the world's first ever mathematical machine. Now, before I say mathematical machine, tell me, what do you, the answer is not, the question I'm asking you all is not given here, okay? Tell me, what do you think the world's first mathematical calculator was? Or the first world's calculating device? A device which can be used to perform basic additions and subtraction kind of. Yes, it was abacus. Abacus was the first mathematical device. Okay, or it's a, let's say, calculator. But we don't call it a machine. We don't call it a machine because it doesn't work like a, it doesn't work with a current. It doesn't automatically work, or it doesn't have multiple stops inside. It is just like beads. You just play around. So we don't call that a machine. But that's actually considered the world's first calculator. We consider as the abacus. It was, I think, more than 5,000 years back. Only it was made. Okay. Machine doesn't anyways need electricity. The part of machine is something that can work on its own. Now, if you take on its own means you give the input, it can do the processing. In abacus, have you all seen the abacus? If you all have seen abacus, okay, this is how an abacus looks like. In if you take abacus, who does the processing? The human does the processing, or does the device does the processing? Human or the device? Who will do the processing? Once you give the input, no, there is no input plus output thing here, right? So technically, if humans are going to do something, we don't call it as a machine. Machines are where you might give some instructions or you might do some small actions. Based on your action, some result is going to happen, some processing is going to happen. So based on your input, if some processing is going to happen, that's what we call as a machine. Simple. Now, for example, why do we call what do you call a trimmer as a machine? Now, if you take trimmer is used to cut the hair, right? Why do you call that as a machine? You are giving a small input. You might give okay, speed one, speed two, speed three. You might give small input, and using that machine, you can cut your hair, or you can cut your beard or whatever. So that's a machine. It can do a function. It can perform a function on its own. It's not you who are performing. But can you call a scissor a machine? Do we call scissor a machine? A trimmer you can call as a machine, but can you call a scissor a machine? No. Because in scissor, you're doing the action. In scissor, you're cutting it. It's not that you're moving, you're cutting, you're doing the process. But in trimmer, that machine is doing the process, you're just moving it here and there. Does it make sense? Why don't we consider what you call abacus as a first mathematical machine? Even though it's a first mathematical calculator, it is not a machine. Okay. The first mathematical calculator was called the adding machine. Okay. So this is matching for this. And then Joseph Jacquard used this to make various patterns on clothes. First of all, tell me, Joseph Jacquard, he made this one. He made a device. Okay. What do you call the device as? It's actually a this one. It's actually a not a computer. It's actually a sewing machine. What's the name of that device? Rosla, I'll be posting it after class in our WhatsApp community. Or just WhatsApp this number and get the paper. No. Joseph Jacquard, I asked the device he made. When I asked what was the machine he made, the machine he made is called the mechanical loom. Mechanical loom. It's basically a sewing machine, right? It's not a computer. But if you ask me, why do we learn about this sewing machine? In the sewing machine, there was a very interesting feature. And that feature is what led for the world's first computer. Okay. So Joseph Jacquard, in his mechanical loom, he used a system called the punch card system. Okay. And why do you think he used a system called punch card? In that sewing machine, punch card was used for what? To store. Exactly. It's given the question as well. It's various patterns on cloth, various patterns on cloth. He was storing designs. The cloth design, the cloth designs, that those patterns or designs is a data which was stored in the punch card. So basically, you all know Charles Babbage. What's special about Charles Babbage? Who is he?
Sorry, suddenly my laptop got off. I think it got overwhelmed with the amount of background apps running. Anyways, who is Charles Babbage? Correct. He's the father of computer. Okay. It's still on in the computer. I'll show you. Okay. So Charles Babbage, he was the father of computer, right? Let me keep the video like this for now. Yeah. So you all know Charles Babbage, he was the father of computer, right? What this fellow that did was he saw the mechanical loom, he was inspired by the mechanical loom, and he was like, okay, let's make a computer in this structure using this what you call idea of mechanical loom. Let's create something called a computer killer. He got the inspiration to create the first computer by the what do you call mechanical loom. Okay, so what's special? That answer B was actually the point B was matching for um, punch card system. Okay, and then if you take Charles Babbage using this what do you call using this punch card system, he created a computer, right? And that computer had three main features. One was input, process, output. Okay, what is the name of that computer? Using this concept of input plus output and punch card system, which was inspired from the what do you call perfect. That's called the analytical engine. So with the help of the analytical engine only, I mean that's the first computer which was considered which was that is the first device that was considered as a first ever computer. Okay. And why did it why now before that also we got several devices, we had several machines. We had the adding machine, we had the what do you call step reckoner, and we had all these devices, right? Why didn't we consider these devices as computer, but only the analytical machine as a computer? What was special about analytical machine, analytical engine? There was a special feature it had, which others did not have. Correct. The main part is the input, process, output, store. It had the four main features. It was able to store the data as well. Okay. So it was able to input, process, output, and store data. Because it had these four features only, we consider that as a the first computer. Okay, that was what it was batching there. And then let me quickly on the laptop. Yeah, that was that question. And the next question they was asking about Mark 1. What's special about Mark 1 is it was able to perform trigonometric calculation as well. But what was the question? I can't remember the question. Let me screenshot the question from the phone. Give me a moment. Mm, okay, I found it. Today the class is so weird, but sorry, it's a temporary purpose. Oh, the live is there. Okay, so the question was talking about, yeah, this was used in punch card for the first time and was based on the concept of input plus output that they're talking about the analytical engine. And then there automatic sequence control calculator. Okay, so there was this computer called Mark One. There was another name given for Mark One. The other name given for this Mark One. Okay, this is a computer called Mark One, right? The other name given for Mark One is only this automatic sequence calculator. Okay, so automatic sequence calculator and Mark One, they're referring to the same thing. Why can't I select that? So when you match them correctly, you'll be getting A match, the world's first time mathematical A will get matched to Q, A to Q, so 2 and 3, and 2 is going to be matched to R, okay, and C is going to match to P. Answer is second one. So in this question, answer is second one. If you got the second one correct, mark it correct. Okay, the answer is second one. If you got the second one correct, then mark it correct. And then next one. The computer can be classified as analog digital hybrid. The basis of this classification is what? Okay, let me come back to the Zoom. Okay, now tell me when you take computers, seeing your own face on screen, what else can I do? Okay. Anyways, talking back, telling when you take the computer, I think so much. Okay, at last laptop got on. When you take the computers, we learned in the grade 10 second lesson about classifications of computer. You can classify your computer based on two things. What are the two things you can classify a computer based on? Correct. You can classify the computer based on two things. One is the size and one is the technology. Based on size, we have several classifications. Okay, one is the largest size computer is called what? The largest size out of sizes, the largest size we call them as what category of computers? Perfect. The largest computer size we call them as supercomputers, right? The second largest computers, that was called what? Correct. The second large size is called the mainframe. And third, perfect. Third is called the mini computer. And the last, the smallest type is called the, yes, the smallest type is called the microcomputers. So your phones, laptops, they come under the category of micro. Okay, join for the laptop. Let me leave.
Okay. So your phones all they come under the category of micro, and then we have the other sides as well. Okay. They're not going on live. That's fine. Without your apartment. No? Yes. Right. And yeah. So these questions they are saying is analog digital hybrid. They are coming under which category? They come under this category of the second thing which we're talking about, that is regarding technology. So keep in mind, there are two things we can categorize computers based on. One is size and one is technology. Based on technology, they are given here analog digital hybrid. Based on size, what we can classify is one is the largest is something called super. Second largest is something called mainframe. Third largest is something called mini. And smallest is something called micro. Right. So if you got the answer correct here, the second one, fourth question, mark it as second one. Is that clear? Okay, let's stop with the fifth question. Fifth question is actually easy question. Usually it will be starting from January. Okay, so second question answer is second one. And here the answer is also. Third question I told you the answer is C will be matched with P. That is this. Okay, so let's start with the last fifth question. Computer manufacturing companies store the commands are called, not stir the commands, store the startup commands or the commands need to start your computer. Okay, they're called BIOS, right? Fine. In a dash, the smaller capacity as kind of the motherboard, right? Your BIOS is actually it's a type of program, right? Which is there to have information regarding what do you call how to on your computer. We don't consider BIOS as an example of a software. Instead, we consider BIOS as an example of something else. But like you have hardware, software, liveware, and something else. That's the example where BIOS comes. BIOS is an example of what? Correct. BIOS is actually an example for a firmware. Okay. So firmware is also like software only. It means like an app only, like a program only. Only the difference is firmware and software it's 190% similar. The only difference is for a software to run, for you to be able to use a software, you need an operating system. But firmware, you can use it without an operating system. That's the difference. Firmware does not need an operating system. Software needs an operating system. That's the difference. Liveware is humans, the people who are going to use this computer. Anyways, what do you call? So this BIOS is a program, right? This program is stored in which part of a computer? Where is the BIOS stored? Perfect. BIOS is stored inside your ROM. Correct. BIOS is actually stored inside your ROM. Tell me, is ROM a temporary memory or permanent memory? ROM is an example for primary memory. Yeah? I said primary, secondary earlier, right? So ROM is actually an example for primary. But is it temporary or permanent? ROM is an example for permanent memory. If it is temporary, okay, you say answer January, January. What do you call? If it is temporary, practically think. Owning your laptop or when you're owning your phone, you'll get this logo, right? Dell, Apple, Samsung, that logo, and then after you might get what do you call a screen saying what do you call loading or owning your computer or press F12 for boot up, blah blah. Okay, you get that you get the logo and sometimes you might get a like a line going, right? Now, is it do you get that only one time when like only for the first time when you on your phone, you're going to get it? After that, when you restart the phone, you don't get it. Is that something like that? No, right? Every time you on that phone, it remembers your logo. So if without storing that data, will it be able to remember your logo all the time? No, it definitely has to store the data. So if you're wondering where are those data stored, the data required to on the computer or how to on the computer, how to set up this device, the basic data about this device kind of scenario, those data are stored in the ROM. And keep in mind, those data are stored permanently. And by default, okay, by default, like in normal stage, can we modify this data? Whatever the data that's there in the ROM, can we change it? I'm not talking about the data in the BIOS. Okay, BIOS is a program you can modify the data as in the BIOS. That's a different story. Okay, like BIOS under BIOS there are certain things you can modify. That's a different story. But practically, can you go and then now, for example, you can go and access the data. What are the data that is there in the RAM? What are the data that is there in the secondary memory? You can go and clear all those stuffs. But the data in the ROM, the control you have over it is less. Actually, by default, a normal user has almost closer to zero control. Programmatically, there are some things you can do. But as a normal user of a computer, if you look at the word called ROM, it's called read only memory. You can read data from it, you can obtain data from it, but you can't enter data inside the ROM. You don't have the power to write data. Okay, it's kind of limited. Okay. Anyways, so that's the answer for the fifth question. Tell me in these first five questions out of what you call 1 mark each, how many marks you got? Others, if you have any questions, drop your question chat. For now, we'll stop from here. Out of these five questions, how many questions I got correct? By the way, this was the 2023. That is the what you call not last year, I guess. Year before the last third term paper. Good job. History I answered 3 times. Were you deaf all this time? I said yes from January, man. Do you have any short notes of grade 10 and 11 ICT? Actually, you all can access my all my tunes completely for free. Anyone. You can just go to this Master website or share a link that has all my notes. Even science notes are there. If you'll go through my science notes there, you will know why do I use science notes. So that will prove you. Let's go. I'll just share you this link. If you go for this link, I'm going to share. There's this folders which has different subject notes. I don't think I see the subject notes here much. Just go for this tutelinks.txt. When you click on this file, you have every tute's, what do you call this ones? Oh, every tute's, what do you call link you have here. So for example, if you are weak at a specific lesson, you can just go and copy this link and open in a new tab. It will give you that old lessons too. So I've shared the link in the chat. Just click on the link and you can obtain it. Or if you go even for the resources page in Mastery website, you have something called all subject notes. What is it saying? The fifth one answer is ROM. Anyways, with that, we're going to stop now. Those who have any questions, you can stay and ask us. We can leave. We're done for the day. Any questions, anyone? That's because I have OCD, mild OCD for that. Good job. Bye. What is real-time computer? The computer that can process data within less than a second. Like within split seconds, it can process data. One of the examples for real-time computers are drones. If you take drones, when you give an instruction, it doesn't take time to execute the instruction. As soon as you give the instruction, the moment you give it, you can see the response. Like you will not even notice a like blink of eyes for that response to come. So drones, calculators are examples for Calculators, I think calculators also, but drones are examples for real-time computers. It gives results like this. This paper PDF did you upload in the group? Actually, yes, we have done this question. If you just go and see this paper, we did the part two of this. Yeah, these questions. You can just go and see. We have completed the part two of this paper. We did the MCQ today. Hania, thing is, I have not created the WhatsApp web at the moment. I'll check later after class, as soon as the class is over. Ah, yes, Anitia. In which classification is it classified? Operating system. So you have operating system, types of operating system, and out of types of operating system only you get real-time OS. So drones use something called real-time OS, something called single-use operating system, multi-use operating system, single-task operating system, multitask operating system, then multi-user multitasking. Likewise, you have different types. That is why you get this topic called real-time operating system. It's not real-time computing, it's real-time operating system actually. Um, is it expired? I don't think so, man. Just double check. Send me the link of that recording as well. Check. How do you send the link? I'll check. Umar, that's very sad to hear, but I get you. On December 4th, what seminar you plan to have? I'll update that in the channel. Most probably, I might have the programming seminar on December 4th. And next week, 24th, I might have the third term seminar. I'll update both in the channel, okay? I actually saw your message, Hania, but I did not open it. I noticed a message that because I remember now, okay, you're talking about the recording thing. I saw it, I did not open it. I just saw the notification. Anyways, I'll check your message and reply. Don't worry. Okay, so with that, we're done for the day. I'll meet you all again on next Monday with the seminar. Have a nice day.